Hi, everybody. I was at marine safety training this week. Please wear a life jacket. Anyway, here's the podcast. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Midlight Crisis, a real podcast hosted by three grown-up biologists revisiting books from our teens, and it's totally cool. I am one of your hosts, Sophie. And today, I come from an illustrious lineage of job havers who also are from a place. Fun fact. And the job that I have in the place that I'm from is a bean man from the arena of clay.
What does a bean man do?
A bean man.
Are you Mr. Bean?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like a character actor of Mr. Bean.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're like the drag version of him?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm a drag king.
Yeah. In the what of clay?
The arena of clay. So maybe I'm like a drag I'm a drag king doing like the most extreme version of RuPaul's Drag Race.
In the arena. Yeah.
In the arena.
In the arena.
Lip sync to the death.
Oh, God.
Actually, for real, lip sync for your lives.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Hunger Games and you're gonna eat it up?
Yeah.
Is that something they say?
Yeah, definitely. Slay. But actually, if I'm a drag king, I'm not naming myself Bean Man.
No, it's decided.
First of all, I don't know nearly enough about Mr. Bean.
All you need to know is the Thanksgiving turkey on head episode.
I don't think I know that one.
Or
What?
the driving test one is fun too.
I was going to say the driving one is the only one I know.
Yeah, that one's funny.
So, who are you guys? My competitors in RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh, well, I'm Sam, and I'm going to enter the arena as a baguette fighter from the haunted House of Waves.
Baguette fighter.
Yeah.
Baguette fighter seems like a drag thing too somehow.
It
Yeah.
does somehow. Oh, I'm imagining you just with like a tiny little mustache.
Yeah. Like
And
a
then
beret.
holding, a beret, a stripy shirt, and
Yeah.
then just holding a baguette.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's your sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That just makes sense.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
And you're from the House of Waves?
The haunted House of Waves.
Oh, I was gonna say the House of Waves sounds sick. Like that sounds like an actual mermaid fantasy book ass faction, you know?
You said ass way too
Way
separately
too
from all the other
late.
words in that sentence.
It's an ass faction.
An ass.
Faction. Anyway, you know, right? It
Yeah.
sounds like something
Yeah.
a Triton would be from, the House of Waves, but it's not. It's the haunted House of Waves.
I mean, my Triton in D&D was kind of from the haunted waves. She was
You're right.
haunted by those
You're right.
waves.
That's a great
Yeah.
point.
They fucked
Yeah.
her up.
The did.
I was gonna say the haunted House of Waves might just be Piranesi.
Mm,
Yeah.
I remember that being pretty cursed, wavy place.
yeah.
Yeah.
Choose your fighter. Who's the third one?
Hi, my name is Hannah, and I will be entering the competition today as an ocean wolf from the small town of Weevils. Oh,
Ooh.
Okay.
Isn't that's a weird thing to call a wolffish. Isn't there an animal that's already called an ocean wolf, like colloquially?
Killer
yeah.
whales are like the
Yeah.
wolves of the sea.
Oh, right,
Um,
okay. Wow, you get to be a whale.
I'm being one
Congrats.
of those. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Hell yeah. I'm never changing my job and place that I'm from again.
Okay, I got
Well-
distracted by ocean wolf. What place are you from again?
Yeah, actually, I might want to leave the small town of Weevils. That sounds
Okay.
unpleasant.
Yeah, maybe. Weevils are totally harmless.
Yeah, but they're icky.
Are they?
Kind of.
What? They're just bugs. They just got long heads.
Listen, I only like arthropods when they're underwater or when they're really big, and
Weevils can be pretty big.
that's okay. As long as they're big enough that I can see them, like, reliably, it's fine.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, that's fair.
Like a bimodal distribution of bugs that are okay. They have to be like super small or really big, and all these like medium-sized ones that you like find in your house, I'm like not super down with.
What do you mean by super small? Like you can't see them?
I guess so, yeah.
Okay.
I'm thinking about spiders. Like when spiders are really little, they're like kind of cute and fun, and I put them on my plants.
Yeah.
But when they look like you could feel it if you squashed them, I don't like them at all. But then when they get around to tarantula, I think they're cool again.
Okay, I was gonna say, so like wolf spider, also not okay?
Not
Like
my
a dog
favorite.
spider. Okay.
Perhaps my least favorite, in fact.
Your least favorite variant of a wolf is probably a wolf spider.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. Got it.
But my favorite variant of wolf is the ocean one. And perhaps also the hot stepdad
I was
wolf.
gonna say, now is a bad
Oh.
time to say that that's the only wolf you like. Because, of course, the reason we have jobs in our different places today is because we're talking about City of Bones.
Wow.
And
Wow.
you'll see the connection there when whoever's going to tell us what happened in the chapter we read this week tells us what happens in it.
It's me.
Yay.
I have so much to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as expected, we got the info dump of info dump chapters, which really isn't all that shocking when the chapter is literally called The Werewolf's Tale. So, apologies if I forget anything. I really tried to bring this down as little as I
Yeah.
could. So, we find out Luke, Jocelyn, Valentine, and the parents of Alec, Isabel, and Jace all went to school together, and Valentine collected all the broken kids like tokens to raise in his future cult. Luke's words, not mine. Turns out Valentine's dad was killed by werewolves, which is where begins our story of Valentine hates all downworlders and the start of the circle. So, they all follow in Valentine's lead and start hunting down any downworlder.
Darrenwalders.
Downworlder breaking the smallest of laws, and during one of those hunts, Luke gets bitten by a werewolf. Well, Luke establishes himself as a werewolf leader, and Jocelyn raises her son. Valentine decides to get chummy with his demon besties so he can take down the downworlders when the Accords get signed. And for those who don't know what the Accords are, they're basically like a treaty between the Shadowhunters and the downworlders. And at this signing, Valentine plans to kill all of them that show up. But then Jocelyn and Luke conspire against him, and it's a full-blown battle. Many die, Jocelyn and Luke escape, but Jocelyn returns to a burnt-down house with no son and no Valentine. Seeing as Valentine has now faked the death of himself and his son, Jocelyn escapes while pregnant with Clary. Luke leaves her in Paris, but as any lovesick man does, can't stop thinking about her, so launches a search around the world for her, and then eventually tracks her down to New York, where a young Clary answers the door for him. I swear to God, I hope that was enough.
Dang. Good job.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I mean, the chapter is already a summary, so you just had to summarize the summary. So
Yeah.
great work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although,
what did I forget?
no, I think you maybe, based on your own knowledge,
Yeah.
What?
which is something I guessed, the part where you said Valentine faked his and his son's death,
But we know that.
but Valentine's corpse was not among the corpses.
Yeah, but there was like a fake skeleton that was supposed to be like a father and child.
It was Jocelyn's parents and the baby.
Oh.
I mean, that was one of the things I was going to open up with. Like, for sure, Valentine faked the firstborn child being dead.
Yeah.
And then that baby is the baby that is Jace.
Well, I definitely thought he faked his own death too. I thought that was the whole point.
Did you read that, Hannah? I just thought
No,
it
it
said...
didn't indicate to me that Valentine had faked his own death.
But everyone thought he was dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everyone thought he died in the fire, but I think what Luke is saying here is that when he and Jocelyn were there, Jocelyn found the bones of like her mom, her dad, and a baby.
Oh, wait, there's among another pile of bones gleamed Valentine's silver amulet, so I guess that's
Yeah.
what that's supposed to
Okay.
mean.
Oh, I thought that pile of bones was the child.
I thought that pile of bones was the dad.
I thought.
Oh. Oh no, okay, you're right. Okay, sorry.
Wow, so despite how much we love to read, we sure
None
can't.
of us can't. Sam can.
However, Sam is correct.
Yeah, because I was like, everyone thought he was dead. Like he purposely faked his death.
Yeah.
So like
Yes.
that wasn't.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah, I was like, this isn't my knowledge. I was like, I'm almost certain that's what it was supposed to be.
Although I think it is your knowledge that you said he faked his and his child's death.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot about the parents.
Well, and we don't technically know that the baby survived, but we do know that the baby was JC, so.
And I'm so mad that his
Yeah.
actual name is Jonathan Christ. Because it's Jonathan Christopher. His name
I
is
swear
actually Jonathan
we must
Christ.
have known that.
No, we made it up as a joke for what was Jesus's brother's name, and we said it was Jonathan Christ, and then we
No,
made a joke.
I'm pretty sure I'm the one who said I think it's Jonathan Christopher, and then you guys went on this Jonathan Christ joke. I'm like, isn't that what it was?
No, okay. I looked back in my notes, and in chapter 2, the exposition is that Clary's father was named Jonathan Clark, and he died.
Yeah.
Okay.
Allegedly. So there was Clary knew that someone named Jonathan C. was dead. Now we're learning that Jonathan is her brother,
Yeah.
not her dad. But
Yeah.
maybe her dad was also named Jonathan.
I don't think we thought Jace's name was Jonathan Christ. But I think we had made a separate joke that Jesus's brother was named Jonathan Christ.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
now it's like his name is actually Jonathan Christ.
His name's actually Jonathan Christ. Yeah.
Jonathan
we didn't pull
Christopher.
Jonathan out of our butts, but
Also, there's no question who Clary's father is anymore, right? We all got that? Okay.
Yeah. See, but
well,
okay.
the thing is,
Yeah. Now I see where the confusion is.
yeah, I did accidentally get a spoiler when I was looking at something else that was not spoilery on the wiki, but then the sidebar spoiled me
Why
about
were you
something, but I don't know what it
on the
means yet.
Wiki. That's so rude.
This was last week when we were doing pre-pro, and I've been noodling over it ever since.
All right, I read into the next chapter. You just spoil yourself on the wiki. I see how it is.
I was literally looking at the chapter title names. I was like, what's the list of the title names? And then on the sidebar of that page was like, go to this article about this thing. And I was like, well,
About Jonathan Christ.
about Jonathan Christ.
Yeah, so we have known from the beginning, because all of us remember that there's some kind of incest, maybe.
Yes.
A pretend incest.
Fake incest.
Yeah. In this book. And so obviously this is where it comes in, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be like, oh, Jace is actually JC Jonathan Christopher. Like, he's actually Valentine's firstborn child, and Clary is Valentine's second-born child. And by that, I mean Jocelyn's kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because we also know that Michael Wayland, who is Jace's father, ostensibly, the only thing we really learn about him is that he was in the circle after, the fight in the Hall of the Angel during the attempted genocide of Valentine's whole thing.
Yeah.
He is racked with grief over the loss of his wife and hides himself away in his country estate with his young son.
Yeah, my first thought was that he is still, he was still loyal to Valentine, and Valentine hid his son with Michael Wayland.
Yeah.
And then something happened, where Michael Wayland was going to, this is what's going to happen next, and then Michael Wayland, did something where he was like, I'm going to reveal it all, and Valentine's like, never, and killed him. But, yeah, because I haven't been spoiled. I don't know in which direction the paternity is incorrect.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
But because, the thing I saw is kind of a spoiler for this book, but I don't know what exactly it's spoiling. I'll talk to Sam later.
Yeah, because I don't know if it's that it's going to be revealed that Jace's dad, Jace's parents are in fact someone else.
Yeah.
Or if Clary, I guess even if, like, they can't both
Yeah,
have
like,
the
does
same
Clary-
mom also. Like, they can't, that still is incest. So
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. I was about to be like, oh, Clary could have a different dad, but
yeah, they still can't do that.
no. And like the one thing we know about Jonathan Christopher is that he has white blonde hair like
yeah,
Jace does.
like Jace does.
Like,
I can
all
see
of these
where
things are
the
pointing at
confusion is.
Jace, which is
Yeah.
why it's doing that, clearly. We're
Yeah.
supposed to be confused like this.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's working.
It's working. I'm confused and I'm worried that they're going to make out, but they're brother and sister.
Yeah. Ick.
Ick.
Anyway, should we start at the beginning of the chapter?
Yeah, let's go back to the beginning.
I wanted to talk about the very first paragraph where they talk about Idris a little bit,
Sure.
partly because I invested way too much time being like, oh man, we have some like biome information here, and then we
Ooh.
also have some locational information. I'm like, I'm gonna figure out where Idris is.
Yeah.
So I spent a bunch of time like looking at European biome maps and like comparing the the way
Wow.
it's described with various things, and then I went back to like chapter 6 or whatever where Jace is like, Idris is between France and Germany, so I didn't need to do that. But
Yeah.
I did learn from that because Idris as described as having glossy pines, dark earth, and cold crystal rivers, and like a single city, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, so I found that they are clearly describing the Alp conifer and mixed forest biome, which like runs through parts of France and Germany. Looks beautiful.
Okay.
Basically, the takeaway from all of this effort I did is that she clearly either has been to these places or did the same research, because like this biome does overlap exactly with where she said Idris would be. So
Wow.
I think that's cool.
So, okay, and Idris is not like Belgium or Luxembourg is like in between, right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Okay.
No, that's correct.
Okay.
I think I went back and looked at the chapter, and he was like, "Oh, it's between France and Germany." And Clary is like, "The only thing between France and Germany is Switzerland," which is not true. But
It's kind of
Jace is
right?
like, "Yeah, you can think
Oh,
of it as
right.
being like Switzerland."
Right.
No, like Luxembourg and German and Belgium are also in between.
Right.
But yeah, it seems like in that general Switzerland, France, Germany border is probably where Idris would be, which does overlap very nicely with this like small band of like temperate alpine forest. So that's
Hey.
nice.
Hey, why do Idrisians speak English? Shouldn't they speak France or France? Shouldn't they speak
France.
France?
They
Shouldn't
should probably speak French if they're near
French?
France, Switzerland, and Luxembourg,
or German?
or German. Maybe
They
they do also
probably
speak
do.
French.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and also like Jason the Lightwoods grew up in New York.
But like, why are they called the Lightwoods? You know?
Shadowhunter names.
The Shadowhunter names are all English.
Yeah.
I guess except Morgenstern, which is Valentine's name. Is that German? Or like Dutch?
Yes. We'll get
Nobody
into that.
roast me for not knowing.
No, we'll get into that. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Oh, I just looked at it. Oh my goodness.
Stop it. I'm
Okay,
gonna
that's not a
talk about that.
spoiler. Okay. Anyway.
Sam, you were gonna say something about the Shadowhunter names, though.
Well, I was gonna go into something, but I think I'm wrong.
Well, I'm wondering, my, brain, which likes to do the thing where here are the parameters of this made up thing. How can we make it work?
Mhm.
Which is just what this podcast is.
Yeah.
In case you didn't know that I like doing that. And so in my head, I was being like, oh, well, I guess this place has, like, maybe it's like a special demon fighting area, like a nexus of ley lines or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Magic stuff. Maybe
Uh-huh.
it's where the opening to hell, the hell dimension, is in between France and Germany. And so that's why they built their city here, but like the people didn't necessarily have to be like from there, right?
Yeah. Well, and they seem to keep themselves pretty separate from mundanes. It doesn't
Yeah.
explain why they speak English, but it could explain why they're not speaking French or German.
Yeah.
Do they have their own language? Or is it just like Latin?
I don't think they do. She never went. I don't think she ever really goes into that.
That's fair. That's a lot of detail to
Yeah.
come up with.
And I don't think
Yeah.
it's Latin, right? The runes aren't Latin.
No,
That's true.
they're more just like symbolic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like you need a Robert Langdon to come decipher what they mean.
To come and figure out your angel language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm still trying to like think of a rationale for why they speak English and like can't.
No.
Because the book's written in English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like with all of the characters we've met so far, like they live in the United States, makes sense that they'd speak English. Have we met anybody actually like coming directly from Idris? I guess like the Lightwoods and Hodge are from Idris,
Yeah.
but they're not there now.
Yeah, like the part that's more confusing is why you have like, what's his name? Luke. What's his last name?
Garroway.
Lucian Garroway is like
It's Irish as hell.
pretty Irish. Yeah. You've got Jocelyn. I don't remember anyone's actual last name.
Fairchild.
Yeah, Fairchild, Hodge, Starkweather, the Lightwoods, like all of those are very Anglo names, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it could also just be that like people were originally called from all over the place to be shadow hunters, and now this is just who they are or something. I don't know.
Yeah, or like if they speak English now, the names could have just been anglicized over time. Like my last name is an anglicized version of a different name.
Right. Okay.
Could just be something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's because this book is in English. You know, that's what it is.
Yeah. It is interesting. Like the last names for the shadow hunters are very sorry, Sophie. They're very much like Tatooine slave names in Star Wars, where they're like long English names of like very grandiose things.
Yeah.
And in Star Wars, you're supposed to assume it's like translated or whatever. It could be similar in this case where they have like not patronyms originally. I can't remember what the word is for like.
Oh, like descriptive. Like they have a. Yeah. Okay.
So like that could be what it is, and then the name changes again to whatever language you're speaking based on what it originally described.
Right. Okay. I like that because that means that like if they go to Germany, they're like, "Oh, my name is like a Germanic version of, Hodge." And then they translate Starkweather to whatever it is in German.
It could be.
To like I'm thinking that means like you're not notable wherever you go. If they're like, "Oh, I'm going to be transferred. I'm going to be exiled to France and I'm going to have to like live and teach there." Like they'll probably take on a French name to not stand out. Because I'm just thinking like if you have a bunch of people with like Anglo names and then one person with a German name, like that person is going to stand out in an English speaking area. Just like if you had to pick like one person, right, pattern matching brains is going to be like, oh, this person with this weird German name.
Yeah.
Valentine Morgenstern is going to stand out more than like Robert Lightwood.
Yeah. So if they had exiled Hodge to Paris, he would have been Hodge Ton Mossad.
I don't think he would have been Hodge. That's not a very French name.
Ooh.
I don't want to burst your bubbles, but I don't.
No!
I don't think it's that serious. Like in the later trilogy, there's like a bunch of characters from the Mexican
From all
Institute. Like it's just right now you're just getting an experience from like the English side of it, but like in the Dark Artifice series, you get a lot. Mostly, it's been a while since I've read it, but you get a bunch from the Mexican Institute that come to the LA Institute. And then in the prequel series, you get a family that's half Persian. In the one before that, it's all mostly London. So again, it's very English, very white. But one of the characters is, I hope I don't get this wrong. I think he's half Japanese.
I guess I'm just a little confused because in this book, like I think the confusion for me is that like the plot of this book is that they haven't been making new shadow hunters, right? It's like only the family line. They don't use the Mortal Cup ever, right?
Yeah, but like it's just because you've only met the Lightwoods, the Fairchilds, like you've only met the very whitewashed English side of it.
So there are like other shadow hunters from other lineages elsewhere in the world.
Yeah. Like, so one of the characters we meet, his name is Jem. He's half Chinese, not Japanese.
Okay.
But yeah, so his mom is Chinese and his dad is British. So like he speaks both languages fluently.
Mm-hmm.
And does he have like I guess if his dad is English, he would have a English last name probably.
Well, yeah, it's
Yeah.
Carstairs is the name. So that's like, yeah, again, a British name.
Yeah, so like outside of this book, do most of the shadow hunters have, for lack of better phrasing, like regionally consistent names with where they're from?
One sec. I need to look up in the Dark Artifices because I don't remember the characters' names.
That's fine.
That's fair.
Yeah, Christina Mendoza Rosales, a shadow
Okay,
hunter from the
okay.
Mexican Institute.
So this
Okay.
is just like a particularly Anglo lineage.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha.
A very
Got it.
whitewashed book.
I mean,
Yeah, and then later she was like,
that's
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
happen when you're a white person and you're writing
when
your
you're a
first
white
book.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
She makes up
gonna
for
happen.
it, but she does
Yeah.
like create a weird plot hole for herself at some point. But like, it is what it is.
look.
Yeah, and I mean, like,
Yeah.
like Sophie said, a white person writing a book is probably going to have white people in it, and that's not a crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no.
Anyway, you mentioned Valentine Morgenstern
Yeah, I did.
is his name.
It is.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
No, it's not going to be very long. Morgenstern means morning star,
God damn it.
which, as Hannah might know,
Yeah, Hannah does know.
yeah, is the name, I guess, another name for Lucifer. Ye
Yep.
old devil.
Yeah, he himself, huh?
He himself. Although, based solely on the Wikipedia page for Morningstar, where the M and the S are capitalized, is Morningstar also what they call Jesus?
I don't think so.
It says Jesus self-described as the bright morning star in the Christian Bible.
Oh.
Yep.
Maybe then. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And yeah, no, the next line is like Lucifer, also known as morning star. It's like, yep,
Yep.
that's the one I know.
Yeah, same.
So do we think Valentine is going to be Jesus or Lucifer? Which one do we think?
Well, yeah, like, he's clearly the bad guy here.
Yeah.
Is he literally the devil?
No.
I'm assuming
No.
this is, like, metaphorical.
No, he's turning against God, you know, like,
Yeah.
and so he's gone on a fall. Like, it's all so biblical.
Yeah.
He has fallen.
Yeah, I guess just the fact that that's his name. Like, if I was writing a book about Lucifer becoming a person or a human person and,
Yeah.
like, going around on Earth, that's the kind of last name I would give.
Oh, you're right.
So,
For some reason, I just love when it's the last name. Because, like, that means,
Right.
like if it's his first name, it's like, oh my God, you named your son Lucifer. Of course he's going to be the bad guy. But it's like your family name is the devil. It's like,
yeah, it's like,
these
okay.
lineages have been leading to
Uh-huh.
this.
But I mean, it
Yeah.
would kind of make sense because if like the
Yeah.
first Shadowhunter families probably all named themselves after like
After
the angels.
Different angels.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. It probably would have been after Lucifer, though, right?
Presumably. I think that happened kind of near the beginning
I
of
think
everything.
that happened like pretty early on.
Maybe the first dude in that family felt all rebellious and was like,
I'm Morgenstern.
I'm gonna be the Morgenstern, ha ha ha.
Maybe
Uh-huh.
Valentine renamed himself. You know, he's like, I'm
Maybe,
Morgenstern.
yeah.
Maybe
That is something an edgy teen would do.
I don't think he did.
maybe his dad
Mhm.
did. His dad's like, I'm rebelling.
Yeah.
Dang, I love that Valentine's full name is basically just Love and the Devil.
I love the
That's
devil.
crazy.
Is his full
I love
name.
the devil.
Oh my god, he was only 39. Jesus.
Oh.
His parents are on the wiki.
Dang. On the wiki as Morgenstern, Mr. and Mrs. Morgenstern.
Mr. and Mrs. Morgenstern.
Wow.
Yeah.
And their
I-
son Satan.
Yeah. I am just like, we try not to, we're like, this is a fun and fancy-free podcast. Try not to be like, the real times are also happening. There's too much fascism in this chapter.
There's kind of a lot.
Yeah.
The way, like, just like one of those things you were like, it's in a book. So, like, obviously, so on the nose. It's too on the nose because it's a book. It's made up. Someone's like orchestrating this to be the most perfect evil backstory in the world. In the world. And I'm just like, haha, Valentine teaming up with like the literal demons, the things he's supposed to be against. It's just like, yeah, that's right. It's too much like the now.
It's just
like the now.
He's just doing it, huh?
He's just doing it.
Yeah, and he starts seeming reasonable and then extremely quickly gets deeply unreasonable.
Like, it just, oh my god, I just get so mad that he's like, oh, all downworlders are the worst. Demons are terrible. We have to raise them all to the ground. And then it's just casually like, yeah, so we teamed up with the demons in order to kill the other demons. It's like, fuck off. Fuck off.
Right?
So hypocritical. I'm so mad at Valentine.
Well, he does have werewolf trauma, which obviously is good justification for genocide.
Yeah.
But his dad was killed by a werewolf. In the werewolf's defense,
his dad was trying to kill the werewolf.
Them down. Yeah. It never addressed why they were going after these werewolves. Presumably they must have broken the previous accords, because otherwise they're like not supposed to attack each other. But like it doesn't, I don't know. Yeah. I'm very suspicious.
I mean, like the Shadowhunters, like morality is just straight fucked.
So bad.
Like, it's so bad.
Yeah.
Also, it's too real. They're just like, we better go after any downworlder, no matter what they've done.
Yeah, like I'm sure I'm sure it's not this deep, but I'm living in 2025, so I'm very suspicious of the fact that they went and attacked the werewolves and then got mad that the werewolves fought back.
Yeah, they probably were just like bringing their kids to school or something.
Right?
They got arrested and murdered.
Like later on, when Luke is with the werewolves are just hanging out. Like they're not doing anything. Because that's the only information we have about the werewolves, I'm extrapolating that these other werewolves were also just hanging out and not doing anything.
But these are the same werewolves.
It's the same pack.
Yeah.
That only seems to attack them when Valentine's around.
Or
leading
like
the charge.
They only seem to attack when people charge into their home and try and murder them. Yeah, no, probably totally reasonable. Yeah. The other important part that, we're just getting beaten over the head with here is that Valentine and Luke were parabatai.
Oh,
brothers who would die for each other. Just like Chase and Alec.
Yeah.
Wow. I wonder if like maybe the new generation is going to do it any differently from the older generation. I wonder if that could happen.
Yeah.
Because in Luke and oh my god, okay, in Luke and Valentine's situation, Valentine basically sets Luke up to become a werewolf. I'm sure it's going to be revealed at some point that Valentine was like, I wanted you to die that night. I did it on purpose. Because it is implied here that Valentine said he would guard his back and then he did not. Like he left. Yes. And I'm sure it's going to be revealed that Valentine did that on purpose. To be like, get my competition out of here.
Well, because Luke was like doubting the direction.
Yeah. What I appreciate here is that maybe Luke is just keeping this from Clary, but it doesn't seem that Luke is like lovesick.
Yeah. Okay.
Over Jocelyn.
I wanted to get into that too. There is no point in this chapter where Luke himself indicates that he feels anything for Jocelyn beyond friendship. Valentine is the one who implies that Luke is in love with Jocelyn.
Well, I think Luke doesn't say anything about that the whole time, but at the end he says something to the effect of like, her name was always an unspoken thought on my lips or something. And it's like, okay, I think he's like acknowledging that, yes, I love Jocelyn, but it doesn't sound like he was thinking that before,
To me, in my interpretation, nothing that Luke himself said was explicitly romantic. It could just be like, we were best friends since we were kids, and I don't know
Right.
what happened to her, so I think about her a lot. I think it could go either direction.
Yeah. I interpreted it more as like Luke doesn't want to expressly say that to Clary, and that's why he's not saying it in this story. There's a part where he says, I couldn't stay with the wolves. I couldn't find a mate because I was always thinking about who was missing, you know, and it's like, well, if you love her as a friend, I don't think it would be like that.
Maybe.
You know?
Oh, I was just like, oh, he can't find a mate even though he's looking, is how I interpreted that. He was like, I just can't find anybody because I'm too distracted by all these other things.
Yeah.
But again, like, he is talking to Clary.
Yeah.
So he would be presumably censoring himself that way. So
painting himself in a better light a little bit, probably.
Yeah. Well, like, you're not going to tell a kid that you've been in unrequited love with their mom.
After her mom forever.
That's weird.
Yeah. Sam, do you know, is he actually in love with Jocelyn?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, is he?
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I was hoping he wouldn't be.
No, like, yeah, I think it's like you have to like read between the lines here. Like, I don't know. It's hard because obviously I know what happens, but like, well, there's like one line that Valentine says that he like basically calls him out on it. Because again,
yeah,
you're telling the story from your own perspective, and from his perspective, he's a teenage boy who was enamored by a boy who was cooler than him, who like took him under his wing, and like as a teenage boy, like all you're going to be focused on is like, oh, this dude thinks I'm cool, blah blah blah, and then Valentine's going to try to control that. So then he takes Jocelyn from that situation, right? Like, and it's mentioned that she's the only one that can quell his anger or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. She liked him because he got damaged.
Well, that's a whole other thing. But like, I think it's just kind of implied that like it's something always there, but like Luke didn't know what to do about it because he was like an awkward kid who like didn't come from anything, so he never saw himself as an option for Jocelyn.
And he did like love Valentine, right? Like as a brother, as a parabatai.
He was happy that the two of them were together.
Yeah. But he might also just be saying that, you know?
Yeah, but
people can't lie in books.
Well,
yeah, like I just thought it was interesting that he's saying,
yeah,
I love both of them. I was happy they were together. Valentine is the one who tried to, like, in the whatever depth of his madness, is trying to like throw it in his face that he's in love with.
Yeah.
Jocelyn. I was like, it could be that he wasn't, but I guess I'm just not reading it correctly.
Well, like, and I think through a lot of this, like, you realize that Valentine is just a sociopath. So, like, the man is clearly manipulating the situation, could probably clearly see what Luke was stealing. He probably felt nothing for Jocelyn and was just, and like, you find out more as the books come in, but he's just essentially using her to get to his own goal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, but she's young, doesn't really understand it. Luke, they're both, like, they're both enamored by him.
They're both more easily controlled, right? Like, that's why he picked both of them.
Yeah. And so, like, Luke was so enamored by that he probably didn't even see, like, his own feelings. And it's, like, a situation, too, like, your two friends get together and you have feelings for one of them, but you're like, no, like, I'm happy for them. I'm happy for them. Like, that's what a good friend does if you're truly friends, right? You know what I mean? It's like you convince yourself, you're like, oh no, like I was really happy for them. And I'm sure he was in that moment, but like the man is in love with Jocelyn.
Okay.
Yeah. I know it's like, we have to go off of like what he's saying, right? Like we can't just be like, I think he's lying, because like we could just do that with the whole book. You know, like everyone's lying about everything. It's all not true. But like
that's a hilarious way to read a book.
Yeah, everything's fake. I just thought, like, the way he's, like, because I'm thinking, like, he is telling this story, and I think it's because we've already said something to the effect of, like, or, like, Hodge said something like, oh, Jocelyn's just leading Luke along, and Luke will put up with anything because he's in love with her. And so I'm like, okay, well, I think Luke's in love with her. And then, like, even when he's telling the story from his perspective, and he's going to, like, put himself in the best light is what I was sort of assuming.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like the part where he's like, oh, I had to leave the pack. And then he's like, I couldn't find friends or a mate. And then the other part where, okay, always there was a hollow aching inside me. And always I woke with her name unspoken on my lips. It's like, yeah, he's in love with her. Like, that's
Okay,
not
fair.
a friend, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I think I was thrown off by the fact that the only people who have said that Luke was in love with Jocelyn are Hodge and Valentine, who are both against.
Both shitheads.
Yeah, like they're both the bad guys. So I was like, oh, maybe they're wrong, but
I know you wanted him to be around just because he wanted to be Clary's dad. I know that's all you want. You just want a found family. But
yeah,
I don't think it is.
no. I think I also just like am so over love triangles that I'm like, oh, an opportunity for this to not be a long unrequited love? Perfect, I'll take it.
Yeah.
But alas. Anyway, should we talk about werewolves?
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was interesting that not all werewolf bites result in lycanthropy. And we don't have like enough information to try to like calculate any kind of transmission rate or guess at like how that essentially disease is like transmitted between people other than it's some kind of bite.
Yeah. And I should have looked into this because I meant to, but then I forgot to. I mean, I guess it's totally believable that it makes sense that a disease, you're not always gonna get it, right? Like,
yeah,
if you, I don't know, if they didn't have a high enough, whatever it is, count, what is it? Bacterial count or whatever it's made of, right? Then maybe you're not going to catch it. Or if you have a better immune system or whatever, if you've gotten your werewolf vaccinations, then maybe you won't be werewolf. But like, for me, one of the most interesting things about like werewolf, like the classic werewolf, is that you only turn on like, the full moon, right? And so obviously, as like a marine biologist, obviously the first thing I'm going to think of is how like a lot of marine invertebrates basically reproduce on full moon cycles.
Yeah. I think some of the vertebrates too, even.
Yeah, like, and I'm sure, like, I think it's like those corpse flowers, aren't they like the 8th full moon of the 16th year or something like that?
Oh, really?
Or I think it's with the moon.
Interesting.
But I could be wrong.
And they had that moon flower or whatever it was called in the greenhouse that, like, oh no, that was a midnight thing, not a full moon thing. Never mind.
But like Sam and I, you know, went out scuba diving in March because the sea slugs show up in like huge numbers in shallow water on like the worm moon, which is like the first full moon of March after whatever temperature is met, right? Like,
okay.
Like it's like it only happens once a year, but it's always on like a full moon, and corals even in like the deep sea are on a cycle based on the full moon, even though like where they won't see the light or anything. Like, how's this even happening? So like werewolfism is probably not like a coral.
I mean, it could be.
But like, and I don't know enough about like fungi or like other things. Maybe it's vampire fungus. Maybe it's also a werewolf fungus. We're moving on. But obviously this is possible. It's not like crazy to think that like a natural, I guess it's not natural, it's demon based. But that like the moon can affect things, right? Like not just tides and stuff.
I know we got pretty heavy into parasites in some of our previous books.
And we're coming back.
But like if this disease is transmitted by some kind of parasite and not by like a virus or bacteria, which admittedly I know much less about and therefore could be wrong. But like if it's a parasite that is like an invertebrate, and we know that a lot of invertebrates are attuned to lunar cycles, it would make perfect sense, quote unquote. That this parasite might like open or react or whatever to the full moon, causing physiological changes in its host. Like that seems like a reasonable biological conclusion to draw.
Yeah. But I guess the thing is that like werewolves have to turn on the full moon, but then they can turn any other time.
Mm-hmm.
That's the implication here.
That's
Yeah.
what I thought too. I just couldn't
Okay.
remember.
Yeah, which is confusing.
Yeah, because that's why he has that like panic room thing.
Yeah.
Because
For the full, yeah.
yeah,
So he's like not in control on the full moon because he's throughout this chapter clearly able to shift at will and control his wolf at will.
I'm struggling.
Yeah. I feel like I have forgotten about like an embarrassing werewolf book I read because I am gonna like say something that I'm like, I feel like I've read somewhere the concept that like you have less and less control over the wolf the closer you are to the full moon, right? Like,
Yeah.
so you can change whenever you want, but you have to change on the full moon. And like the closer you are to the full moon, the less likely you are to be like quote unquote human in your head.
Yeah, that
Interesting.
sounds familiar. I feel like I read the same thing.
Was that in Bride?
It might be. No,
Maybe.
I feel like it was in the Kelly Armstrong books I read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think you find out more in City of Ash. I
Okay, the next book.
just can't remember if we do or not, but I think we do. Because there's
Okay.
there's some more werewolf characters that come in. So
Uh-huh.
it does, and you do start like learning more about it. I just don't fully
Okay.
remember.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
fair.
It's been a while.
Yeah. The other potential explanation with the information we have at this stage, because we know Luke is currently the leader of a werewolf pack, and he was initially, while they still lived in Idris, he was the leader of the werewolf pack there. And we know from his experience that his first change was involuntary and he was out of control. And then
Yeah.
after that, he seems able to control it. So it could be that the panic room in his house in New York is for new werewolves in his
Oh.
current pack
Mm.
for their first change. I feel like it's probably not.
Yeah. But that could be it.
But based on the information we currently have, that is a plausible explanation.
Yeah.
I guess I'm also just like, this is a dumb question. Are there full moons during the day? Like, you know how the moon is like out during the day sometimes? Like, can you have a full moon during the day? I don't know enough
I have no
about the
idea.
moon.
I mean, like, you know how when the moon is out during the day, it is reflecting whatever the current phase is.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. But I don't
yes.
think I've
Yeah.
ever seen a full moon during the day, right?
I've never thought about it that much.
I haven't thought about it either. We are Earth biologists, not astrophysicists.
It's the thing that has always been interesting about a lot of the werewolf stuff, because they always change when they see the moon. But
Yeah.
all the moon does is reflect sunlight. And therefore, I've never really understood why it's the moon that's the problem and not the sun.
Well, I think it's the
It's
gravitational
the
pull, right?
Yeah. It's just that.
Yeah, I just mean like in other media with werewolves, it's like the cloud goes off the moon and then the werewolves start turning into werewolves.
Oh, that's such a silly take.
Oh yeah.
It's
That is
That's-
pretty silly.
that's so fake. Real werewolves.
Real werewolves.
Well, no, but just from like we were saying, like from a science biology
Yeah, it makes no
perspective, like
sense.
that's so stupid. But I remember that now. That's
agree.
from oh my god, which one is that? That was in Harry Potter.
Oh.
'Cause I'm thinking of that scene. Not that I don't want to talk about it, but it's
Yeah.
that scene from the Whomping Willow, and then
Oh yeah.
Lupin is
Yeah.
like fine.
When the moon. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the
Yeah.
clouds go away from the moon and he's not
Yeah.
fine.
And that's
Right.
like, yeah.
That's
no,
so
it's so dumb.
stupid.
That is
It's
stupid.
really,
God,
really dumb.
do your world building better.
Right? Like, come on. Anyway, big werewolf feelings here today.
There's a whole article on IFL Science about why you rarely see the full moon during the daytime, but I can't read it live on the air. So I think if you're seeing a full moon during the daytime, that's a solar eclipse, or right?
I guess.
Because the moon has to reflect sun, and so
Yeah. That also doesn't explain why the like gravity thing is the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah.
To me, at least. But then it doesn't explain why werewolves happen at night, because gravity happens during the day as well. Oh no.
Yeah.
we need an astrophysicist.
You need an astrophysicist. I was going to ask a follow-up dumb question because I was like, oh, well, I don't know why we didn't think about this, but it's also like how humans have like periods
Yeah.
with the moon. And then I was like, is that a myth? I think they're random. I don't think they relate to the moon.
Oh.
Otherwise,
No,
everyone
yeah,
would
they're
have
not-
their period
yeah.
on the full moon or whatever.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know if like it was originally something that like evolved in sync, and then it just kind of like diverged as humans continued to evolve and people's bodies change. But
Yeah.
like people's periods are different lengths, even
Yeah.
if they tend to typically be monthly. I don't think that's
Like, I think we'd all notice if we were all having our periods on, like, the new moon or the full moon or whatever.
yeah. Although I do still love the joke that like women or people who menstruate are basically werewolves, because once a month you bleed a bunch and turn into an angry creature.
Yeah.
I still think that's funny.
That is funny.
Your body rips itself apart.
I was just thinking, like, is werewolf just a myth about angry PMSing women? Maybe.
Maybe.
Wow,
That's
anyway.
funny.
that
I
would
want
be
to
great.
read that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Werewolves are exclusively assigned female.
I would love to turn into a werewolf while I was
Rather than
having
have
my
a period?
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. I would rather experience
Being a
many
werewolf.
things over a period, though,
Yeah.
to be fair.
That's true.
Nothing good about that.
So
Anyway.
werewolves can go outside during the daytime. So they are the most powerful of the demon creatures.
Yeah, they can go outside in daytime, and they can turn back and forth at will. They're not just like,
Except on the
Stuck.
full moon, probably.
except on the full moon, maybe.
Yeah. I find it interesting that these werewolves were allowed to live in Idris. Actually, in Alicante, the city
The city, yeah.
of the Shadowhunters.
Are they in the city? I thought they were in the woods outside the city.
Jocelyn says, Luke says that Jocelyn found him because she said that there were rumors in Alicante of a werewolf. Well,
Yeah. I think the werewolves were in
outside.
the woods. 'cause
Okay.
They're always talking about being in an encampment or a camp,
Okay.
but the rumors are in the city. The rumor is that Luke is the werewolf in the woods,
Yeah.
not that there are werewolves in the woods. The
And-
fact that there are werewolves in the woods is a fact,
It's probably
which we know because Valentine has attacked them multiple
times. Yeah. Great.
Unprovoked.
Yep.
I want to point something out that I thought was, I think it's supposed to be dramatic, but I just kind of thought it was hilarious. Which is like the lowest point in Luke's life. He has become a werewolf. Valentine now hates him, gives him a knife, and is like, if you're an honorable man, you'll kill yourself, which is insane.
Yeah.
And instead, Luke runs off and he's like, instead of killing me, I'm going to go kill the werewolf that turned me into a werewolf, and then he'll kill me and we'll both be dead, and that will be great.
Yeah.
So he goes and fights this werewolf. He runs all through the night to find the werewolf that bit him. They get in a fight. They start fighting at night. As night faded into day, they began to tire, but Luke's rage never abated. And as the sun began to set again,
Oh my
Luke
God.
finally kills him. So they have been fighting for like 18 hours straight before Luke finally kills this guy.
That's so
insane.
long. That's so long.
That's like Aragon level nonsense.
That's like Clary
That's
staying awake for
ridiculous.
5 days straight nonsense.
Like, it's supposed to be like a very sad, dramatic scene, but it's like, you're telling me these two men were like wrestling and going back and forth between their wolf and human forms for like 18 hours straight, and everyone else was just like, okay, cool.
Maybe it was
Just wait
winter
till they're
and
done.
maybe it was winter and it was only like 9 hours.
That's true. Could be.
Yeah, that's
Oh my
wild.
God, yeah. I was like, hold on. Hold on.
Because,
here.
like, it's nice to read with your eyes, like, oh, and
Yeah.
as the sun rose, we continued to fight. And then as the sun was setting, I killed him. And you're like, hell yeah, that's so dramatic to think about. And then
yeah,
you're just like, wait,
evocative.
wait, but no, the
Yeah.
actual timing. What was the one in Aragon Wasn't it like he was crying over his father figure for like 14 hours or something?
Yeah, for like a day and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like with this one, I don't think I would have noticed if they weren't literally sequential sentences.
Yeah, fair.
But they were.
Yeah.
Anyway, so after fighting for
18 hours.
a full day,
Yeah.
Luke is the victor, kills the other werewolf, who it turns out was the leader, and now Luke is the leader because he killed the previous leader.
I think he knew it was the leader.
That's true. Yes. He didn't know that killing the leader would make him the leader.
But now he is.
But now he is.
And then he came here and now is also a leader. Isn't that great for him?
So I wonder who he killed in New York.
Yeah. Yeah. The only part I wanted to say is that Valentine's parabatai got turned into a werewolf. So obviously Jace's parabatai, Alec, is going to get turned into something.
Yeah. Oh, see, we were thinking Simon was going to get turned into a vampire, but maybe Alec gets turned into a vampire.
I think Simon is still a vampire.
Okay, so is Alec going to be a werewolf?
They can all be something.
Yeah, that's true. There are 5 of them, but one of them's Clary, so she can't.
Nothing happens to her unless it's something that makes her even more special and unique.
Yeah, but there's like 4 categories of downworlders, or that are represented in the Accords anyway. So Simon's going to be a vampire, Alec's going to be a werewolf, and then Jace and Isabel are going to be a fae and a warlock.
Respectively, yeah. No. Magnus Bane is joining their merry party of shenanigan havers, and he's going to be the warlock.
Yeah.
And Clary's probably a third fairy or something.
Yeah, a different kind of fairy. She's like more than half angel. She's like 3/4 angel, which is special. I don't know. The last thing I wanted to mention about the werewolf specifically is Valentine goes looking for Luke, and Luke hid from him as werewolves can. What? So I don't know anything about that. But werewolves have some kind of special camouflage or
good at
hiding abilities. Good at hiding. So maybe that'll come up later.
Yeah. They can fit under things or something.
Yeah. Oh, also they're not as fast as horses. That's the other werewolf
That's the
fact.
other really important werewolf fact.
Yeah.
Which I guess is true.
I meant to look it up, but I forgot to.
I'm just going to trust Luke on this one. Luke is a wolf, so he's probably right.
Yeah, so he probably knows.
We don't need to look it up.
Listen, if Cassandra Clare did enough research to know that a made-up country between France and Germany would have like a specific like temperate conifer forest, she probably knows how fast a werewolf or a wolf can run relative to a horse.
That's fair.
Listen, I know for the prequel series, she actually went and spent like a few months in London so that she could get all of it right. So I would have faith in that.
I believe it.
Yeah. She's dedicated to accuracy.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Wow, what a good chapter. Should we guess what happens next? After all this exposition?
Chapter 22 is called Renwick's Ruin, and the sentence is, for a long moment after Luke finished speaking, there was silence in the room. So, lots to go off of from that.
Lots to go off. Who or what is Renwick?
Yeah, what is Renwick?
I
don't know. My immediate thought was like, oh, this is a person.
Yeah.
But it could just as easily be a place. So, where do we go from here?
Okay, well, where were we in the last chapter, right? Like, Clary was chasing...
Oh my god! Claire was chasing Hodge. Alec is still actively
dying. Isabella's gonna...
missing.
Yeah, Isabella's gonna, like, call Magnus Bane to fix him or something, and they're gonna owe him their souls or something, and that's why Alec and Magnus fall in love later.
I was gonna go with Magnus is gonna see Alec with his shirt off because he's, like, grievously injured and be like, hot damn.
Yeah, that's all happening off page.
Yeah.
But Clary was chasing Hodge, and then she woke up in the werewolf den.
Yeah.
And then Luke... What did Luke wanted something to happen after? Like, why did he tell her his story again?
I think he just wants her to trust him again.
Yeah, because she was all pissed off at him and called him a slimy downworlder.
Oh, yeah, because she really needs like 8 to 10 hours of sleep. So she
Yeah.
can stop being such a shithead.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're getting like close to the end of this book. So I feel like she and the werewolves are gonna go after Jace and Jocelyn,
Yeah,
right?
who are both with or who have both been taken by Valentine.
It's either that or they're going back to the Institute.
I'm pretty sure there's only 2 chapters left in this book. Like, I don't know if they can go back.
Yeah, you're right.
Also, how are they going to wrap all of this up in 2 chapters?
Yeah.
They're going to be long.
They're probably not. They have to leave us on a cliffhanger, you know?
Oh, right, to make us read the second book.
Although, I feel like she's going to get Jace back.
Mm-hmm.
But not the cup, right? Because the cup is... Oh,
yeah.
Although... No, wait. Hold on. Each of the books is
Okay.
about a different item, right? Didn't I sleuth that out?
I think we did decide that.
There's a cup and a wand and a sword and a fourth thing that maybe doesn't count or exist in this book or is going to be a dramatic reveal later if you don't know that it's there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. They don't have time to go back to the Institute. Clary doesn't care about Alec, actually.
No.
So she's going to go with Luke. Simon's going to show up for some reason. He'll have like followed her. I don't know why or how.
God.
He'll have followed her, and them and Luke are going to go to get Jace and maybe Jocelyn. I don't think they're going to get Jocelyn in this book.
Yeah, she must be at like the end of book 3.
Yeah.
They retrieve her or she dies.
Jocelyn is going to like sacrifice herself or something where she's like, no, you guys go. I'll distract him. And so she like, I don't know. There's going to be something where Jocelyn is still in Valentine's clutches after this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think the next chapter is just the wolves, Simon, and Clary, for some reason Simon's there, are going to get to where Valentine is.
I think you're right. Maybe he's staying in a place called Renwick's Ruin.
Right. Oh, and they're going to get there. And that's going to be, I think the end of this upcoming chapter is going to be the reveal that Jace is probably Clary's brother.
Ooh. Yeah.
I think that's what it's going to be.
Yuck. And then in the last chapter, they're going to make out. And everyone will be like, oh boy.
We have to guess that next time. You're right. I think they have to make out before they realize this. Anyway, that was my guess.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean...
No, we cooperated on that guess.
Yeah. Yeah, like they're going after Jace.
Yeah.
Is what I think. And Luke is going to help out of guilt or because Clary is going to do it anyway, so he has to make sure she doesn't get herself killed.
Yeah, and I swear to God Simon's going to be there.
He's going to show up.
Like, in 2 sentences, they're going to be in the middle of a sentence, and the other wolves are going to be like, Master, Luke, there's somebody trying to break in. It's a boy. And they're going to be like, Simon, how did you get here? And he's going to be like, I followed you. I saw you get dragged away by a wolf.
Yeah, you're so right.
That's what's
He's going to shoot somebody with an arrow.
With an arrow. There's a guy shooting arrows at us. Yeah.
There's some skinny nerd shooting us with arrows.
Yeah. I think that's going to happen.
And then Simon's going to have like a little pithy quote about Luke being a werewolf. I don't know what, but he's going to say something about it.
He's going to be like, that's why the apartment always smelled like wet dogs.
That's the one. Yeah. You're right. He will be unfazed.
Unfazed, yeah, because it would take too much time for him to be phased, and we only have 2 chapters left.
We don't have enough time.
Don't have enough time.
The next chapter's got to be like 60 pages long, man.
Yeah. Wait, we only just started part 3. How can there only be 2 chapters left?
I'm pretty sure there's only 2 chapters left.
I think there's an epilogue. Are you including the epilogue in that?
I thought I was, but I could be wrong.
I'm gonna look now. Oh, this is a really long
Hannah's
chapter.
not allowed to look. Hannah's gonna like look and see Valentine's death date by accident. Somehow.
Oh, no, there's chapter 23. So there's 22, 23, and then the epilogue.
This is like when we were reading Maximum Ride, and then we realized that the next chapter was the epilogue, and we were like, wait, what the fuck?
It's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I don't think that made it into the recording, but we were like, oh my God, we have to pick another book.
Yeah.
So anyway,
okay.
That was our guesses. Great guesses all, probably. Let's talk about what else we're reading.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That thing we do. It's shocking everyone.
Uh-huh.
I haven't read a lot since the last time.
Okay, it has not been very long.
We're recording quite close together. I haven't finished anything since the last one, so I'm still reading all the same stuff. The only thing I don't think I talked about is that I am technically listening to Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne via the Sleepy Bookshelf.
Oh my god.
Which is like a sleep cast, like a sleep podcast. So the idea is that like each episode is an hour of the audiobook read in a very soothing way. And at the beginning of each episode, they summarize what happened in the previous one. So you don't just have to like start 15-minute increments like further and further into each episode to hear the whole thing. I mean, you probably should. So I'm doing that. And I think out of the 4 hours of the audiobook that I've listened to, I've probably actually heard an hour and a half. You know, like that's probably how it's working out too. But the other problem is that if I'm very tired, I will fall asleep very quickly into each episode. But if I'm not tired, I will just keep listening to the audiobook because Journey to the Center of the Earth is a very fun book.
Oh, I've never read it.
It's an adventure. I felt this way when I read Around the World in 80 Days. I was like, Jules Verne is like, he wrote a good adventure book. You know, it's just like a fun adventure.
Huh.
Yeah. So that's the only thing, the new thing, quote unquote, that I'm reading. Kind of. Sort of.
Nice.
What about you guys?
I'm not. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's only been 4 days.
It's been 4 days. I think I've listened to like an hour more of Shield and Sparrow when I went to the gym.
Yay.
Is it Shield and Sparrow? Shield of Sparrows? Shield of Sparrows. And I've read like maybe 2 more chapters of Ruthless Vows.
It hasn't been that long, okay?
Nope.
Guys.
Yeah, no, I'm like so stupidly busy right now. So there's been nothing. I'm so sorry, listeners. I have no news to report.
That's all right.
Yeah. Hannah maybe might have something more exciting.
Yeah, well, if we're revealing our
that it's only been 4 days.
we're revealing our off-kilter scheduling. I saved a book I was listening to last time, so I would have something.
See, Hannah's so prepared in that way. I'm prepared in other ways.
Yeah.
Not in this way.
Not in this specific way.
No.
Yeah.
You're prepared in ways that matter. Mine
Yeah.
is insignificant.
I wish I had read a book between that. Like, I'm so behind.
It's been 4 days.
I know, but I just want to read.
It's also been 4 work days. Like, it's not like we had a weekend in there.
I don't even get a weekend because I have to work all weekend.
I know. You won't even get to read for the next 2 days.
No.
You have too many jobs.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Anyway, what have you been reading, Hannah? What did you start definitely this week and not
thanks.
before?
Yeah. Well, I finished a book I was listening to, which was Something Wild and Wonderful by Anita Kelly. It was a queer rom-com about hiking the Pacific Coast Trail, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Nice.
And then I started listening to Song for a Whale by Lynn Kelly, which is a middle grade book about a deaf girl who becomes friends with a whale, I think.
Ah.
Yeah. So far, I'm slightly too pedantic about whales to fully enjoy it, but that's okay.
A middle grade girl who talks to a whale. I wonder why you were interested.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, and I've read a little bit more of Fool's Quest, but again, it's been 4 days and that book is over 700 pages long, so I'm not done yet.
Yeah. Listen, stuff came up and Sam and I realized we have only 1 day free together in June at all. So it's just we had to squeeze some recordings in.
Yeah, I'll like peek behind the curtain. When you have a bunch of biologists who do a podcast, sometimes it's hard to schedule things in fieldwork season. Hi, editing Hannah here. We originally announced a different book for the June Midlight Book Club, but then we decided we're all tired and we just want to read a summer rom-com. So instead, we'll be reading Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. Anyway, if you like this chapter of Midlight Crisis, consider rating and reviewing us on Spotify or your podcatcher of choice. You can talk to us and find fun-related content on social media. We are at Midlight Pod on all of them, except Twitter, because screw that guy. And all chapters of the show thus far are available on our website, midlightpod.podbean.com, and on YouTube.
And me trying to read a werewolf rom-com, but failing because of the body horror. I could not find friends among the wolf people.
Yeah.
That's a nice way
Like
to
you and
put
Luke
it.
have in common.
I think I could be friends with them. Maybe. I feel like there's too much testosterone in werewolf packs.
Yeah.